Starting a GLP-1 medication is exciting, there's no doubt about it, but that first month can seem a little bit overwhelming. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what to expect your first month and more importantly, how to make this journey sustainable so that you're successful long term. Now, before anything, I just want to congratulate you on taking this first step. And I know I sound like a broken record because I've said this so many times, but starting Zepbound was the best decision I could have ever made for my health. And I would absolutely do it again in a heartbeat, zero regrets. So if you are new here, my name is Jill. I'm 44. I'm a mom of 10, and I've been on Zepbound since February of 2024. So I think it's like 15 months now. I have lost a total of 80 pounds and I am on 5 milligrams. So I remember being where you are now and feeling hopeful but nervous and a little skeptical. I wasn't really sure if this medication was going to work or not, but I decided to just give it a shot. No pun intended. This video is really just things that I wish I had known when I started my journey, and hopefully you find it helpful. The first thing to keep in mind is that you may have to come up with some kind of an eating schedule. Not everybody needs to do this, but a lot of people on these medications just don't get hungry. They just do not have an appetite. They don't have the desire to eat. And I know that sounds appealing when you're trying to lose weight, but your body still needs food. And so I think having a schedule that you can stick to will help you make sure that you're getting enough calories each day. That's number one. My second tip for building a routine is having a water goal. So some of you can drink a gallon of water each day, and that's amazing. That's wonderful. But some of you are a little more challenged in that area like I am. And so maybe just half your body weight in ounces is a good place to start. But whatever it is that you decide, I do think it's important to have some goal that you try to reach each day, because number one, it's going to help with the nauseousness, which a lot of people on these medications do complain about feeling nauseous. But number two, it's really going to help things keep moving, because as we know, these medications work by, or one of the ways they work is by slowing down your digestion. And so making sure that you're hydrated is going to make sure that everything is moving so that you're not dealing with constipation, which is a pretty big issue for a lot of people on these medications. So whatever goal it is that you have in mind, make sure that you come up with something so that you're not winging it, because chances are you're probably not going to be feeling very hungry, and you're probably also not going to be feeling very thirsty, but your body still needs water. So definitely keep that in mind. So those are just a couple of tips in helping you build like a solid routine. But now I want to talk about your diet. And I think it's so important when you're on these medications to make every bite count, because your appetite is just less. And so you don't want to waste it on empty calories. My number one tip is making sure that you're prioritizing protein. Protein is going to be a huge part of this journey. It's going to help you preserve the muscle that you have so that you keep your metabolism strong and that you look healthy and strong at the end of this. If you're working with a dietitian, then absolutely let them guide you here, but I wasn't. And so I liked the 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So my ideal body weight was 130 pounds, and so I aimed for 130 grams of protein. Doesn't mean that I got that every single day, but I did get pretty close. And so however it is that you decide to calculate your protein needs, just make sure that you're focusing on protein. Another thing you want to focus on in your diet is fiber. Now, the typical American diet is not, generally speaking, high fiber. And so a lot of people tend to have to supplement with either like Benefiber, like the powder that you mix into your drink, or fiber gummies or whatever. It's best to get it in food, but if you're going to do it with supplements, then you want to make sure that you start off slow. Don't just go from like hardly any fiber to 30 grams of fiber, because that's going to cause problems. And these medications work by slowing down your digestion. So you want to make sure that you're not adding to that by, going too fast. So increase your fiber slowly and make sure that you're also increasing your water, because if you increase your fiber and you're not drinking enough water, that's a recipe for disaster. And instead of helping to keep things moving, you're gonna add to your troubles. But fiber definitely is gonna help you with staying full for longer, especially if you feel like the medication isn't that strong and you don't really have a lot of that appetite suppression. It's definitely gonna be helpful for that, but it's also going to be helpful for keeping things moving. The other thing you want to add into your diet are healthy fats. So think of avocado, nuts, olive oil, things like that. But you do have to be careful because these are high calorie foods and they definitely can add up really quickly. So just be careful with those. But you want to avoid like greasy fried foods. Those are things that are just not going to go well for you on this medication. And that's because, again, these medications work by slowing down your digestion. And so having something so heavy sitting in your stomach for hours and hours is just, it's not going to feel great, especially if you have like, if you already deal with like heartburn or acid reflux or anything like that. Yeah, it's not a good combination. And I see a lot of people regret eating those foods. So it's best to just avoid them. And not to mention those foods are loaded with calories and they're not exactly nutritious. So yeah, just skip them altogether. So I just looked at myself in the camera and realized that it looks like I'm glowing, and it's because the sun is hitting my metal roof and it's just reflecting back at me. So hopefully it's not too much of a distraction. I'm sorry. I'll see if I could do something with the lighting. But anyhow, the next area that you should focus on is preventing common side effects. And I think being proactive here can really go a long way in keeping you feeling comfortable on this journey. So number one, a lot of people deal with constipation. So we kind of talked about this already, but if you're someone that already deals with that, then it might not be a bad idea to add in something like Miralax or Colace or magnesium or just something to help you in that area, because you definitely want to make sure that you stay ahead of it so that you don't have any problems. So that's tip number one. Another common side effect is nausea. And I think that's usually just in that first month or so when your body's getting used to the medication. So for me, it was like those first 2 or 3 days after each injection. But again, it was only for that first month. I'm pretty sure after that, I really wasn't dealing with nauseousness, feeling nauseous. So I think having small meals throughout the day will help a lot with that. If you're going long periods of time without eating, that's, definitely not going to be good. And then of course you could do things just to kind of alleviate the symptoms. So like ginger tea, peppermint tea, those are good options. And finally, stay on a dose as long as possible, as long as it's working, of course. But um, higher doses don't necessarily mean faster weight loss, but it can mean worse side effects, especially if your body is not ready for them. So I'll always take the slow and steady approach to this. I recently did a video on this and I kind of just walked through my thought process on how I decide if I should stay on a dose or go up, and I actually made this cute little flow chart that I'm so proud of that you could print out or just take a screenshot of and keep it handy so that, when you're deciding if you should go up in dose, you can kind of refer back to that. And the very last thing I want you to focus on is planning ahead to maximize your success, which basically just means coming up with easy systems. So for me, that looked like meal prepping. Now, I will admit, I have not done any meal prepping in quite a while, but I heavily relied on that in the beginning. And it was just so helpful having food that was already done that I didn't have to think about and I could just heat up and eat, especially when you're feeling tired or unmotivated to eat because you just don't have an appetite. And so the last thing you want to do is eat, let alone cook food. It was just really helpful having those meals waiting for me in the fridge. And I do have a playlist where I've shared some of these meals, so I'll link that in case you want some ideas. But I think that even if you're not meal prepping like an entire meal, just batch cooking your protein can really help and go a long way, because if it's already done for you and it's just in the fridge, you don't have to worry about it. You're more likely to make a better food choice and reach your protein goals. So I think just doing that, like just batch cooking your protein, is going to really help you and save a lot of time and keep you on track. Your first month on Zepbound is really just about building a strong foundation. You don't have to do any of these things perfectly, but I think it's important to build a routine and do them consistently so that you have long-term success on this medication. I hope you found this video helpful, guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye.